que o povo... Ai, você viu o povo falando, velho?
Ai,
É porque não é pra você, né? Já tá bem grandinho pra isso.
Igual a Xirra também, né?
Welcome to the Thundercats Roar Panel. I'm Albert Lawrence, and in just a moment, we're going to be joined by the show's voice cast and creative team. But first, thank you for welcoming us into your home. You can catch Thundercats Roar on Cartoon Network, but today I'm hoping that we get a chance to really channel some of the show's visual and
você fala dos Thundercats, né? E eu falo dos Novos Mutantes.
Tá bom.
E do que a gente assistiu à tarde. Ó, tira a foto.
Hello, Victor. Nice to see you. Hey, Victor. All right, next up, we've got producer Marley Halpern Grazer. Hey, Marley.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Now we're going to get into our voice cast. Welcome.
Vai aparecer a coisa.
Now the voice of Chitara and Wile E. Kit, Erica Lynn.
Chita.
Hey, Erica.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having
A
me.
Chitara.
Good to see you. Now, voice of Lionel.
Você já sabe, né? A única menina, né?
Max Middleman.
Quem que ela é, né?
Oh, I mean, hi.
O Laião.
And finally, the voice of Tigra and Mumra.
É aquele
Patrick, welcome.
Tigra. E o Munra também.
Oh, I'm always glad to be here.
Yeah, so thank you for actually all joining us.
É só os atores.
Só as vozes.
É, e o produtor ali em cima.
How did you get involved?
Os dois produtores.
And were you already a fan?
E o gatinho lá? Cadê ele?
I was
Que é a mesma que faz a Chitara.
watched the original Thundercats when I was a kid.
Ah, só não peguei
When I started learning about animation, it was kind of there. Like I studied it for like action techniques.
E
and, like,
daí o que a
layout and all that
gente
kind of stuff. So
falou, o assistiu hoje à tarde. Qual que você vai querer falar?
Animation career and my life. I guess
Esse daí é também, ele é produtor também, né?
2016 it must have been. I heard that Warner Brothers was interested in bringing the series back, and all these ideas just started rushing out, and I just started like drawing the characters like crazy. I started talking to some people over at Warner Brothers. They were really into the style, and I think by the next February, I was rolling on storyboards for the very first
Chaves. E o Batman. E o Thomas de quê?
episode, which ended up being Lost Sword.
Eu achei que era da
Real
turma,
fun
mas
and an amazing treat.
Marley, what about you?
Yeah, so I got
Esse é uma
into
produtor, né?
Thundercats a little bit later because I was working at Warner Brothers Animation when they were doing the 2011 Thundercats show. So that show was being produced in the cubicles right next to mine when I was working on comedies. And when I grabbed the old Thundercats DVDs from their shelves and I got a bit, I started watching them and I was like, this is crazy. This is the show. This is so cool. A bunch of years later, I was in a Warner Brothers exec's office having some meeting about some other thing I was working on. And Sam Register, the president of Warner Brothers Animation, came in with a big stack of Victor's Thundercats art. And he just started showing it to us, being like, hey, look at this cool Thundercats thing we're working on. I just wanted you to see it. Isn't this cool? And then he left. And I like so distinctly remember the feeling of, no, come back. I want to work on that. They were just so awesome. And I didn't think, I was like basically just jealous. I was like, that's so cool. I wish I could work on that show. And then a couple months later, they brought me into the office and introduced me to Victor. And they said, hey, would you like to be the head writer of this Thundercats show? And I was like, yes, absolutely.
Wait, do you think that Sam was actually plotting the entire time just to rope you on in, but that was just the first stage of the tease?
I think it's definitely possible.
Voice cast, I want to hear from you. Were you already fans of the series beforehand, and how'd you get involved? So Chris, what's your story?
Just, I grew up around, like, Ninja Turtles, comic books, everything.
Esse daí que é o Pântano? Eu não gosto dele. Eu não gosto dele. Os espíritos pega muito fácil nele. Eu não gosto do Pântano. Sabe daqueles minicom? Eu não quero o Pântano. Os espíritos pegam muito fácil no Pântano.
it was funny because I had mismatched toys, so I would have like, you know, I would have cats there, but then I would have G.I. Joe's around. But then they had all the Thundercats. I had Rhino and I had Snarf, but that was like all the Thundercats I had. So they had to fight Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. But yeah, but I didn't do the voices, but I definitely had an imagination for this.
I like that you were already orchestrating crossover events even back then. That's excellent. So Erica, big Thundercats fan beforehand?
I'm sure I did watch some Thundercats. I obviously, who is not aware of Thundercats? Its cultural prevalence is, I mean, it's inarguable. But I wasn't super, like, I remember when I got the audition, I mean, to be completely honest, I wasn't booking a ton of animation at that point. And so I just went in the booth and went, okay, like, I don't even think we had art to go by. So I just basically did myself. I just, for Char and Wile E. Kit, I just was like, all right, well, I'm just going to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Of course, I knew, again, what Thundercats was, and to be a part of a reboot of something like that is obviously a dream come true.
Now, Max, where does Thundercats fit into your life?
Well, by the time the show's original run ended, I still wasn't born. So, I did know about the series. I have an older brother, and that was back in the day when networks would actually rerun old shows from like years ago. So I was very aware of the series, and I enjoyed it. You know, I caught episodes here and there, and I enjoyed it. But I was so young that like I never became like a super fan. But I was very aware of it when I got the audition, and I was stoked to have the opportunity to at least try out for Lionel. And after getting it, I was like super stoked, you know.
I don't want to push you for your age, but you were around during the 2011 Thundercats, right?
Yeah, I would hope so.
You are 10 years old, right?
I'm 10 years old, yeah.
Hey, Patrick, we got in here.
Hi.
Thundercat story.
Hey, I've watched it all. I just don't have real strong memories of the specifics. But I remember watching it.
Quem que é ele, faz? O Tagra e o Munha. O Munha é aquele da faixa. O vilão. Ah, tá. Quem é o cara? É o cara de gatinho. Todos têm cara de gatinho. Todos têm cara de gatinho. Não, é o cara de gatinho, o que ele quer, o amarelinho lá. Não o pequenininho. Amarelinho não, laranja, né? Todos têm cara de gatinho. Eles são gatos. Eles são gatinhos. Não, eles são...
Fandom or respect or excitement about Thundercats before joining this project.
O cara de gatinho, eles são Thunder. Ah!
Victor and Marley, there is a well-known super
Aí os dois produtores.
is getting a chance to have his dream come true.
I don't know if you could guess by now, but his name might sound familiar to some of us. Thundercat? Hey.
Thundercat, give us some more background in terms of exactly who Thundercat is. I mean, we know top music producer, songwriter, but how did you become associated with Thundercat? How'd you decide on that name for yourself as an artist?
You know, when you're a kid, you have a lot of creative energy and all this stuff, and it goes which way it goes and stuff like that. And I was always really into illustration and music. And nobody ever believes me when I tell them I've been playing bass since I was about 5 years old. But it's like now, my mom has the photos of me walking around the house with like a thing just dragging it around the house, and it was really like that. And specifically with the Thundercats, it was already in syndication by the time that I was like maybe 5. So when I was cognitive or I was aware of things, it was like, okay, I'm watching reruns. But I remember my mom used to have to pull me back from the TV because between He-Man, Thundercats, and Silverhawks, it was like I got closer to the screen. It would be like, as soon as the cats got on screen, I was like, wow, cat people. And it was like, and it started there, so my mom would always have to pull me back from the TV, like, Steven, start the link. And so it was like, it would be like that. And I would, everything from the color palette to the I didn't understand the concept, but it was one of those things where, you know, again, everything about being from space, and you know, I had like an affinity for cats. You know, some people are dog people, but you have this, kind of, it's a line. It's literally a line. You got dog people and you got cat people. You wind up having both maybe at some point, but it's like I was a cat person, so it was like, you know, I was definitely like, oh, cat people, and it was like it started there. My mom wouldn't buy me the toys because she genuinely thought that I would worship them. Not just. And you know, I grew up in a very Christian home, and it's like, you know, it's one of those things where your kid does something that's a little bit more than a notion. You got to like kind of pay attention to it. You know, it's like those kind of one of those things where it was like a bit of like it became a bit of an infatuation and like a really insatiable like want to know more and understand it a bit more. So that's the child version. That's the part where I was about 5, 6 or so. You know, and it stays with you, but it changes because you know, again, you know, we come into the likes of like.
Quando que é mesmo? É dia 28 de agosto, né? Que vai estrear, né?
É, tá então. Tem nada com cedo. E escamba. Tchu, tchu. Mas eu acho que não sei, é dia 28.
Ou sim, né?
He wore a shirt and it was almost like I was triggered. And I was like, oh yeah. And it was like, at this point, I can go buy the DVDs. And I was like, and so I would go to Comic Cons. I would go anywhere there were toys. And fast forward years into my working environment where it's kind of like, and like literally the first tattoo I ever got was literally the Thundercats logo. When I turned 18, it was like the first tattoo was like, I was like, I want a Thundercat logo right here, and it was just like. It literally for the longest time, it was like, I was walking around like, hey guys.
Eu também sei. Mas é de verdade. Esse é... mas ele tá aqui no braço.
Eu vi.
This is mine. You know, like, this is mine. As me, but I would always have that shirt on, and it was because it made me feel comfortable.
Bem, ó, como que é o fone de ouvido dele? É de gatinho também. Você tem gatinho? Tem o Lion, o Pantro, essa é gatinha. É a Chitara. Né?
O povo achou que ia ter que assistir lá, né? O trailer que assistiu.
And they would all just start referring to me as Thundercat. And it was like, and it stuck. And by the time I met a Flying Lotus, he was like, oh, I heard you. You're Thundercat. So it was kind of like when my friends started calling me Thundercat, I was like...
Não pode. Eles falaram pra desligar o celular quando passasse o trailer.
When this moment happened, you know, it was like, it was genuinely like, it was overwhelming. It felt like life was like...
Então não quer ver, né? Que vai estrear, né? Não é? Você mandou um negócio lá.
Esse ano, né?
Você mandou, né? Que eu vi que você tinha mandado um negócio lá do Thundercats, né?
You take
Ai, eu não lembro.
very different and a very specific identity. Tell us about your character, and then in just a moment, we're going to get a chance to see your character in action, but also your talents fully poured into this character. So who do you play?
I play Groot the Destroyer, who is exiled, that's a good term, but yeah, exiled Thundercat. He put the thunder behind the Thundercats and kind of had to dip out, or he was a little bit too wild for the team, so to speak. You know,
it's all in the song. You are into the song.
Yeah.
So why don't we just use now to get a sneak peek of you performing a song about
Let's take
a look.
Qual que é esse?
Pay attention to my history lessons. That's fine. It's all fine. Razor baby. That's right, Lionel. The Thunderian Education Council made a video. Now I love one.
Thunderian.
it's not what you should be taking away from that video. It should be focused on how Groon is obviously coming to our lair to destroy us and take us.
Ai, olha, gêmeos.
All right, what did I miss?
Claps for that music video. That was quite
Eu não sei
fantastic.
ainda.
We're getting a chance to really get the full origin of Groon and Thundercat. You know, as a producer, we've already heard some of your work where you get a chance to take classics like things for Kendrick Lamar and you mix the classics up and make them fresh. So now you get a chance to also do that with Thundercats Roar. You're taking a classic show and you're making it fresh, man. So thank you for pouring your talents into this.
Thank you guys again.
When we had our first meeting with Thundercat, he came by the studio and we showed him some art and some animation. We were just trying to figure out if there was some way he could be involved because we were so excited that he reached out to us. And he was asking us like what our plans for the show was and what characters we were planning on using. And then he got to Groon. He's like, "You got any plans for Groon?" And we basically just stopped and looked at each other. And then me and Victor were like, "We do now. Want to plan?"
Yeah, man. Good vibes, man. It's good to know that I can do that, actually. Yeah. Just be like,
Yeah, so
I've got a favorite character.